away confused. We want you to walk away empowered. So please know, everything that we will share tonight, you can find online. We are recording tonight's meeting. You can also find the information on 2 websites. You can see them here on the screen, as well as birminghamal.gov/food truck and birminghamal.gov/classic. We have experts from several city and county departments with us today. I will introduce them in a minute, but I also wanted to pause just to make you aware of 2 important people we have tonight with us. Right here to my left, we have Monique Mo Shorts. She is Senior Program Manager for the Office of Business, Diversity, and Opportunity. And at a table in the back, we have Dorothy George. She is the Small Business Relationship Coordinator. Now, the reason I bring them up is because a lot of you here tonight are running small businesses. So if you have questions about running a small business here in Birmingham, we definitely want to connect you with this office. Thank you, Monique. If you do not have the opportunity to connect with Monique or Dorothy tonight, I want to let you know that you can email them at smallbiz@birminghamal.gov. And can you all hear me? I'm feeling like I have a little feedback. Can you hear me? Okay. Yeah. Is this better? Yeah, this is much better. I apologize, everybody. Okay, so let's get started. Let me let you know who's on our panel tonight. So first we have Deborah McClooney. She's with the fire department. Seated next to Deborah is Paige Ishmael. She's with the transportation department. These 2 individuals will be some of your first couple of stops if you are running a food truck, and we will get to why you need to know them. The next table, we have 3 important people from our finance department. We have Jessica McGee. Sitting next to Jessica in the middle, we have Andre Ishka. Say your name. Ushaku, I'm sorry. And then we have Tan Brown. And finally, at the last table, we have Tamika Williams from the health department and Victor, I forgot your last name, I'm sorry. Victor Johnson from the Jefferson County. Okay, so when it comes to operating a food truck or selling items within the city limits of Birmingham, I want to let you know that we have individuals out there checking. You just cannot go out and just start selling. We want to empower you and let you know that there are 4 places that you need to stop in order to legally operate here in Birmingham. The first place that you're going to go is you're going to stop at the fire department and you're going to get an inspection with your food truck. Inspector McClooney, can you tell us what people can expect when they contact you?
No, I cannot. Okay, sorry about that, y'all. So the very first thing you're going to need to do is you're going to need to get a fire inspection, just like Shonda said. So what you're going to do is you're going to call our office, and we have the numbers available. This is for anybody who doesn't already have a fire inspection with the city. You'll call our office, and you will set up an appointment with one of our inspectors. You will come to fire station number 6, and we will do an inspection on your truck. And a few of the things that you need to expect that we're going to be looking for during the inspection, if you're cooking on your truck, so if you're using propane or electricity and you're producing grease-laden vapors, those are the words that the code uses. So if you're frying or grilling and you're producing grease that goes into the air, you have to have a suppression system on your truck. This is going to put out a fire if one is to start inside your truck. That suppression system has to be inspected and tested by a certified company once every 6 months. We're looking for that every time we come to an event and we see y'all there. We're going to come on your truck and we're going to see what your inspection tag says so that we know that you're still current. If you're not, we're going to say, hey, you're out of date, go ahead and get that fixed. And most of the time, by the next time we find y'all, everything's great. You're going to need a leak test on your truck. You're going to need
Inspector McClooney, what kind of test?
a leak test, I'm sorry.
LEAK?
Leak, yes. So if you have propane on your truck, you have to go to a certified gas company or a plumbing company, and they're going to put pressure into your pipes and make sure that there's no leaks in that pipe. Everybody knows it'd be really bad if your propane is leaking out of those pipes and then it gets near a fire source. It would be really bad. So we're trying to avoid that. So once a year, you have to have those pipes tested. If you can consider driving down the road, you know, there's lots of bumps and turns, and those things can start to come loose. So those connections can come loose. So you're going to want to have that checked every year. We're going to be looking for that. So your suppression system has to be currently tagged. We're going to check for a leak test. You need to have your clean hood. We need to have a currently tagged fire extinguisher, a K if you're cooking with grease, an ABC also, and if you're not cooking with grease, you just need the ABC fire extinguisher. Your propane tanks need to be in date, and you need to have the proper hoses on your tanks, and we're going to look for all of that. I'm available for a call anytime anybody has any questions, and we can get you going and make sure you're going to be good before you even come to us. And then if you're non-cooking, really all you need is an ABC fire extinguisher.
Thank you, Inspector McClooney. One thing I want to cite is that if you do not have a business license here in Birmingham and you're looking at, for example, an event planner reaches out to you and they want you to participate in a festival or a fair, please know that you still need to contact the fire department to let them know that you're going to be participating. Also, if you do not have a food truck but you are cooking and you have a tent, you still need to contact the fire department. What we found is that some people cooking under tents are not cooking with the proper tent. You need to have a fire retardant tent. When they come out to festivals, they will be checking. So if you think you can slip by and say, okay, I'm just going to take my chances, when event planners plan events, they should be contacting the fire department and several of our individuals up here to let them know about events. Just don't think you can slip by. Again, this whole meeting is about empowerment and knowledge. So we want you to know the first stop you need to make is with the fire department. Before I go on to the next step, I also want to remind you that before you even just show up to Station 6 thinking you can get inspected, you need to call ahead and make an appointment. That information is going to be on our food truck page, which is birminghamal.gov/food truck. But if you need the number, you need to call 205-250-7540. Again, that's 205-250-7540. Before you arrive for your inspection, please ask them to send you a checklist of everything that you need to bring for your inspection. One of the things that we found is that some food trucks show up ready for the inspection, but they don't have the necessary paperwork in order to get the inspection started. So Inspector McClooney, what are some of the items or paperwork that they need to, documents that they need to have with them?
So you'll need to have your document for your leak test that shows us that you've had it done within the last year. You're going to need to have your current tags on your suppression system and your extinguisher, so those are not separate documents. They're actually on the pieces of equipment. And you'll need to have a document actually attached to the hood that says you've had the hood cleaned within the last year.
Okay, thank you. Now, as a food truck operator, once you've done your inspection, the next stop you need to make is to visit the health department. Here to answer some questions about the health department is Tamika Williams. Tamika, once they leave the fire department, what do they need to do at the health department, and what are they looking to get?
So once you get an approved fire inspection from Inspector McClooney, you all have to submit a plan review packet to Jefferson County Health Department. That is going to include your menu, your drawings of your truck. They need the inspection, the fire inspection, and then That is a 30-day process. Once you submit everything to the health department, it takes about 30 days for one of our plan review specialists to reach out to you or your general contractor. Once that is done, the plan review specialist that you're working with will come out and view the truck. That truck has to be designed and set up just like you submitted the floor plans originally to us. Once the plan review specialist approves it, they will give you an inspection report that says approved to pick a permit, not approved to operate, approved to get a permit. Once they send in or give you that, you need to bring that to the Jefferson County Health Department so that you now can obtain an annual food permit with Jefferson County. You do have to have a mobile food vendor permit to operate a food truck, a food trailer, or a push cart. We do not give permits for tents set up on Saturday on 3rd Avenue. We do not allow that. That is not allowed, and there is no way you can get a permit. We do not do annual permit for temporary setups. Also, if you're cooking out of your home, there is no way you can get a permit through the health department unless you have a brick and mortar building, food truck, food trailer, or push cart.
Okay, Tamika, so just to be clear, if I'm making brownies at my home and now I want to sell them at a bake sale or I want to sell them at a festival, how do I become legal by contacting you all?
Okay, so that is the one exemption. We have a cottage food law, and you can register to be a cottage food law register. Basically, you can only sell baked goods, cookies, cotton candy, popcorn, and that candy apples, things like that. You can make that out of your home, but you do have to go through the proper registration first. There are some requirements. Each candy apple, each bag of cookies, each brownie that is packaged has to be properly labeled. The labels have to be reviewed and checked, and that is an annual permit. There is no charge, but that's the only time we will allow you to cook out of your home if it's baked goods.
Okay, thank you, Tamika. Now, Tamika brought up some great information, and we're going to get to the Magic City Classic on the back end after we go through the process of legally getting your food truck documents here in Birmingham. But Tamika, you brought up a very important point of the process taking 30 days. There may be some people in the audience today wanting to operate for the Magic City Classic. So what do they need to do to get ready if it's 30 days to do that process with your office?
Okay, so we can go about it two different ways. If you already have an annual food permit with Jefferson County Health Department, then we offer a temporary food event permit that you can get through Jefferson County Health Department. You can also get that temporary event permit if you don't have a permit at this time and you want to operate under a tent, you want to operate your push cart, or you want to operate your food truck. So there's a couple of exemptions for this. So the main thing is if you already have a current mobile food vendor permit with Jefferson County Health Department and you would like to operate at the Magic City Classic or any temporary event, it could be Furnace Fest, Steel City Jazz Festival, this works the same way, either way. If you have a current food permit and you can return to your commissary every day and it is not more than 100 miles away, you are not required to get anything from Jefferson County. You wouldn't have to apply for the temporary food permit. If you do want to, once you're set there at that location of the event, say the organizer states that you cannot leave. Once you're parked, once they have you set up in a certain way and they won't allow you to move in and out, then you do have to obtain a temporary food permit with Jefferson County. So even if you have a current food permit, you still have to get a temporary food permit with Jefferson County Health Department. If you want to operate under a tent and cook, you automatically have to get a temporary food permit. No matter how long, you cannot return to the commissary once your tent is set up, it is erected throughout those 3, 4 days or 14 days, because we will give a temporary event up to 14 days. So the state fair is the prime example for that. But once you are, you have to apply for the temporary food permit if you're gonna stay on site every day and you cannot return to your commissary, or if you're under a tent. That is $100, but there are going to be some deadlines. The organizer of the event has 30 days to apply for the organizer application. That is no charge. So if you are hosting the event as the organizer, you do have to submit an application. You have to list every food and or beverage vendor that is going to be involved in your in your event. That's the first thing. That allows me to contact each vendor to check to see what they're doing. If they are going to stay on the property, if we already have a list of our current food, mobile food vendors. So if you have a current food permit, I normally will call you and say, are you planning to stay on the property? If you say yes, then I'll send you the temporary food permit application to complete. If you have a tent and you're cooking under the tent, you definitely are going to have to get a temporary food permit and apply for that. You have 14 days before the event to submit your payment and your application, which is $100. After 14 days, it does double, so we add a $100 late fee to your fee. So that's why I try to get the organizer's application in first so that I can start contacting each vendor. And then we go from there. That does mean that we are going to come out and inspect your setup, your food truck, your tent, your push cart. So we will schedule a time to come out before the event starts, and we are going to do an on-site inspection. And there are some requirements, but I'll send all that to you.
Okay, thank you, Tamika. So now, once you've been approved by the health department, your next step is to return to City Hall and you will visit the transportation department. They are on the 9th floor at City Hall, and you will be seeing Paige Ishmael or Antonio Stewart. So Paige, can you tell us what people can expect when they come to your office to now get a mobile vending permit for their food truck?
Yes, I can. So this is just for an annual permit to operate within the city of Birmingham. So if you just want that special event permit, you're not coming to the 9th floor of City Hall. You're only coming to me for annual. So the difference between those two, just really quickly, is the annual permit, it allows you to operate from January 1st all the way through December 31st. Every year, it expires on December 31st. It's $200, and there's a $50 application fee only for your first time coming to us. So if you're renewing, you don't have to pay the $50. That is for a food truck or trailer. If you just have a push cart, then it is $50. So that, once you get that, you can operate year-round within the city of Birmingham. The special event license only allows you to operate for 3 days, and it's $150. So just in your planning, if you know you're going to work more than one event, it's really financially more efficient to get the annual permit through our department. So I just wanted to make that distinction. Okay, so when you come to me, you've already gone to the fire department, so you have your fire permit, and then you have your food permit from the Jefferson County Department of Health, your mobile food permit from them. The best thing to do is to also contact your insurance before you come to the 9th floor, because that's a third document that we need. And that has to be sent to us directly from your insurance provider. And this is your general business liability insurance. So you need auto insurance, but you don't have to send us those records. We need the general business liability certificate of insurance from your provider. So the minimum coverage on that is $1 million per occurrence. And one thing that we see often is the food truck name is not listed on the certificate, or it's only like your LLC, but it doesn't say like doing business as your food truck name. And we get a ton of applications all the time. So make sure your insurance provider puts your food truck name somewhere on that certificate so we can actually tie it to your business. That's the only way we can tie it to your business. So I don't want that to slow you down, so I'm trying to tell you ahead of time what we need to see. So if you have those 3 items, and then you come to the 9th floor to see me, all you will need to do is fill out the application, which is just going to ask like normal business contact information, pretty much. And then there's a conditions form that you sign that just says you understand the rules of operation within the city. And we'll need a scan of your driver's license, or a U.S. passport is fine as well, as long as your photo is on it. And then you'll be able to pay for your permit. And once you are issued the permit by us, you will then be able to go back down to the first floor of City Hall and get your business license from our finance team, and that's your final step.
Okay, so before we go to the finance department, I have 2 questions for you. Paige, how long is the process to get my mobile permit from BDOT if I am operating a food truck?
We say 48 hours, but if you come to me with all those documents ready to go and your insurance is, I have it in my email, I can give it to you that day. It's a quick turnaround.
Okay, and one last thing. You and Tamika were mentioning the difference between special events license and business license. These are 2 important things we're going to talk about as it relates to Magic City Classic, because I know that we have some food trucks, they don't normally operate here in the city limits of Birmingham. They may have a business license in Homewood, Hoover, and that's where they're primarily are positioned. But there are some events that pull them here to Birmingham and they want to participate. So out of the 12 months that this truck is operating, he may just come to Birmingham for that one time. So that person may want to get a special event license. However, if you yourself, as a food truck operator, find yourself coming to Birmingham 4 and 5 times, you might want to consider getting a business license. The finance department is going to tell us that there are only so many times you can get a special event license. So now I'm going to move. Paige, did you have something you want to say to that?
Let's say it's 3 times.
3, okay, so is it 3 times for transportation and 3 times for finance, or just overall?
Only finance. We don't offer a temporary.
Okay,
We're only
gotcha.
annual. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So for finance, again, this is for businesses, food trucks operating outside the city limits. You do not have a business license. Just remember, you only get your special event license 3 times. So now, once you've been approved by BDOT, we're going to finance. They're located on the first floor of City Hall. Can one of the finance individuals tell me what can the individual expect once they walk up to your window? Which person wants to answer that? Okay, we have Jessica.
If you have all of your required documentation, you would fill out an application and you would pay your money to get your business license.
Okay, Jessica, there's an important thing that finance wants to stress. When we are signing our documents with you all, there is a section that tells us that every month we need to be reporting our sales tax and our occupational tax with you all. Can you tell us why that's important and what happens if we do not report our sales tax for a month, 2 months, or whatever?
So sales tax is a required tax, as well as occupational tax depending on how your business is set up. So in the event that you do not sell anything in the city of Birmingham or you do not work in the city of Birmingham, you are required to file that tax monthly. In the event that you do not file your sales tax or occupational tax, there is a minimum of a $50 penalty per month for each missing tax filing. So any type of delinquency will prevent you from being able to participate in events as well as get your business license.
Okay, and before finance answers anything else, I want to stress this. So a lot of times when the city has events such as Food Truck Friday or any other event, a truck may be told you're not in good standing. This happens because a truck may have missed paying occupational tax for that month, 2 months, or what have you. Now, what we found is that some trucks say, oh, I had a slow month, so I didn't make any money. You still need to let the city know you did not make any money. You still need to go online, report a zero, or come to City Hall and report a zero. Failure to do that by the 20th of each month, you automatically get assessed that $50 late fee, and I'm saying a minimum of $50. We want to make sure that all food truck operators are aware of that, and it's not only for food truck operators, it's for anyone with a business license. Is that not correct?
Correct.
Okay. All right. Is there anything else Finance Department wants to add on this topic?
We mentioned documents. It's which documents you must have when you come. So when you come to the front counter to get your business license, once you've come from upstairs, from BDOT, you must bring that food permit that you had from them, because it says food truck permit. You must have your health department permit. I know you gave it upstairs, but we still need to see your health department permit. If you are an LLC or a sole proprietor, depending upon what you are, if you are an LLC, your food truck permit must be in that LLC name. Everything must match. So normally what ends up happening, we get people who come down and they'll have their food truck name, but they don't have their LLC. Your business entity is that LLC. So that is what should appear on there. You're doing business as named can too, no problem, but it must, everything that when you come to us must match. So if you got an LLC, it's going to have to say the LLC. Now, the only thing that normally does not match is your health permit, because they usually put your DBA name on it. And we're okay with that. We kind of know that that happens a lot. They normally don't put they put where it is, so the location. So the location to them, if I'm correct, is that it's going to be your DBA name. It's going to be where it is. So we're okay with that, because it should match what you give us. So if your LLC papers do not match, and everything is different, you can't bring us and say, oh, well, I only have my driver's license, but you've gone and applied in an LLC. We're going to have to see those papers. We always have to get down to a human. So we're going to ask you, where does it show who actually is the member of this LLC, or who actually owns this business? So you can't tell us, we got to see it. So a lot of times when you come and it's an LLC, we tell you the easiest way is an operating agreement. An operating agreement, if it's drawn properly, it tells you how this business operates. It tells you who's in charge of this business. It's going to tell you who the member is. But to be honest, we need to get there, whatever you got. So if you bring us a legal document showing us who the members are, or who the president, if it's incorporated. But that's important. A lot of people get turned around and then they're like, well, they gave it to me. But when you come to us, we have to know who is responsible for the actual filing of those taxes. So that's very important. So your health permit, your food permit, if you're an LLC, if you're a sole proprietor. Now the biggest thing that we are having, they accept a passport. The City of Birmingham documentation says you must have a valid state-issued ID. Any other 50 states, we don't care which one. It cannot be expired. We have people who bring us an expired license. We say, we're so sorry. So it reads, you must have a valid state-issued ID. Now, we all know that doesn't have to be a driver's license. You can get a non-driver's ID, but it must be valid. So those are the things that usually trip people up when they come to our department.
That's very good information. Thank you so much. And finally, we don't want to leave out Victor, who is from the county. A lot of times when businesses are operating, they think, okay, I'm operating in Birmingham, I have a Birmingham business license, I'm good. But we want to remind you that you also need to go to our neighbors over at the courthouse. And Victor is here from the Revenue Department. So Victor, tell us what they can expect when they come to your office.
Okay. So food vendors, they can expect from Jefferson County Department of Revenue, we'll be issuing a county business license as well as the state of Alabama business license. So when you come and apply, we will be looking for the Jefferson County Department of Health permit. You can complete a Jefferson County business license application. And those are really the two important documents that we'll need from you. The first year for your Jefferson County business license will be about $50. And a food truck license on the state of Alabama side will be about $151.50. And I also want to make a note of some storefronts, they have licenses already for Jefferson County in the state of Alabama, but if you have a food truck, that's going to be an additional license. So you can't use the same license that you have for your storefront for your food truck. Those will be 2 additional licenses.
Thank you, Victor. And that's the same for the city of Birmingham. If you are operating ABC Restaurant and now you have a food truck in Birmingham and you're out on the streets selling, you need a business license for your truck. And then I want to ask finance, if you have 2 food trucks, do you need a license for each truck? And then for Paige, your office, you need a mobile permit for each truck. Is that not correct?
Correct.
And then for fire department, just because you got inspected by one truck, that doesn't carry over to the other truck. You need to bring that separate truck. No matter how many trucks you have, they all need to come into you, correct?
Yes, we need to look at each truck that you have.
Okay. All right, so we are going to get to Magic City Classic shortly, but I do want to touch on one thing. How many event planners or venues do we have in the audience today? Okay, I'm just going to touch on this very quickly. The message to event planners, when you are planning events, please, 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 you need to notify the fire department if you are planning to have food trucks. They need to be aware of how many food trucks you have, what the hours of operation are, and where you plan to put them. Here's why. There is a cost associated if you are having food trucks past 5 o'clock or on the weekends. If you have more than 3 trucks, there's a fee. The reason there is a fee is they need to send out inspectors to make sure that all of your food trucks that you have recruited for your event are legal to operate in Birmingham. This is a safety measure for you and for your public. Also, if you have already booked certain trucks and you're wondering, I wonder if this person is legal, all you would need to do is contact the finance department. Is that correct? Can they contact you and say, I have this truck and this truck, can you tell me if they have the legitimate papers to operate here in Birmingham?
Yes, but the easiest way, and I think that's one thing we try to stress, the easiest way is to just simply ask them for a copy of their business license. They have their business license once you're in good standing. If they can't give you a business license, you already know, let me call the city. Because you're supposed to have your license, it's supposed to be displayed. So if you got someone working and they said, well, I want to bring my food truck, all you have to do is ask them, hey, can I see a copy of your license? Because they're supposed to have it. If they do not, then there's a problem.
And also, if you are an event planner and you're planning an event and they tell you they have your license, make sure you ask them, is it a Birmingham city license? Because they may be licensed to operate in another municipality, but the fact that your venue, your event is here in Birmingham, they need all the documentation connected to the Birmingham departments. Now, one last thing when it comes to event planners, you also need to contact the health department. So Tamika, when it comes to them having an event, what type of permit or license do they need to get from you? And is it just involving food trucks?
For the organizer, and I got a little ahead of myself, but for the organizer, the application, there's a temporary event organizer application that you need to complete. There is no charge. We just ask that you complete it 30 days before the event. That's all we ask, and we ask that you list every food and or beverage vendor that you are going to allow to participate in this event. I want to stress beverage vendors, Because we are getting some where, because the vendor is only selling beverages, the organizer assumes that they do not need to have a temporary food permit. If that vendor is going to make or have mixed drinks where exposed ice is involved, if it's coffee and they're going to add the milk to the cup, if they are going to make it an iced coffee, ice is considered a food for us. So once it is open out of the bag and you have to put it in an actual cup, then it becomes a temporary food event permit required situation. So just make sure, that's why I stress food and beverage. So if you have vendors that are going to just do lemonade, if they're going to make that lemonade on site, if they're going to pour it in a cup and then pass it to that customer, that lemonade vendor has to have a temporary food permit approval through the health department. So I just want to kind of give you a little bit of information on that. Of course, if you are cooking under the tent or the vendors are cooking under the tent, I do want to stress it is a little bit of, I'll say it's a lot of information, but as a organizer, if you have food vendors that are going to have food trucks, if they have current food permits, again, the main thing is if that current food truck is going to leave that site every day, you as the organizer, you are responsible for making sure that vendor leaves at the end of the day of that event. They have to leave and return to their commissary, which is one of the things that I did not stress earlier. So every food truck has to have a commissary that they are assigned to. You cannot just jump from one commissary to the other without letting the health department know. You have to go back through the process again. There are some special occasions when situations may be out of the food truck's hand with the commissary. We do allow for exemptions and exceptions for that, but you still need to let the health department know. Same thing, if you get a second food truck, that truck has to belong or be assigned to a commissary. That truck has to go through the plan review process. You cannot just change from one truck to the other. Your permit is assigned to the original truck that it was given. So please know that returning to the commissary is the main thing that the organizers need to make sure that their currently permitted food trucks are doing in your event. But if you have a setup where they are set up under a tent, no question about it, they have to get a temporary food permit. And so you will add everybody on your vendor list when you turn in that organizer application, whether they are currently permitted food truck, whether they're going to be set up under a tent. It does not matter. We do need every vendor, food or beverage vendor, on that organizer application, but it is no charge.
Okay, thank you. And then for finance, I've received this question a couple of times. When event planners have an event, I know back in the day, you all would give envelopes to the event planner to collect taxes at that event. What are we doing now when it comes to tax collection after a particular event, whether it be a festival, concert, or what have you?
So yes, we do give the event planner organizer the envelopes to collect the sales tax from the vendors.
And how does the event planner get in touch with you to get those?
So if you're having a special event, that event requires you to have a license if they're selling tickets or you have vendors. So the event planner get in touch with me. We license the event. The license cover all of the non-food vendors. It covers all merchandise vendors. Depending on if it's your first event or if you've had multiple events, that determines the amount of the license. The planner is also required to give me a vendor list to make sure all of the vendors that you say are there, that's who's there. We do come out and check. We check by the envelopes that are turned in, the 4% gross sales tax, the envelopes that are turned in at the end of the event. So once I meet with the event organizer, they get the license, I give them the envelopes for the vendors. They turn those in the week after the event. If the event is Saturday, the next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, they return those envelopes in to me. They're also required to give me a sales tax deposit check or a sales tax bond. If the vendors do not turn in, if the event organizer does not turn in those sales taxes from the vendors, we will cash those bonds or those checks that are left. So the event organizer or planner is responsible for getting those sales taxes back to us after the event.
Okay, thank you, Tamika. And again, you can reach finance, more information about finance on our website at birminghamal.gov/classic. Now, we are ready to address the classic. So in years past, just so that everybody knows, food trucks were able to be positioned under the stands at Legion Field. But recently, as recent as 2024, that is no longer the case. Right now, Legion Field says they are totally booked with the food trucks that they are going to use, or the food vendors they're going to use for this year's Magic City Classic. However, if there is anyone in the audience interested in being considered for Magic City Classic 2026, you should email this person. Her name is Tricia Moore. You should send an email to tresha.moore@birminghamal.gov. Again, that's tresha.moore@birminghamal.gov. Now, Legion Field has other events, so if there is something happening at Legion Field that you would like to be considered in the future, please indicate that with them. Legion Field has also said that all of their merchandise spots are now taken. So if you are dealing with something other than food and you would like to be considered for 2026, you would need to send that email to Tricia as well. So the only options now, if you would like to vend during the Magic City Classic near Legion Field, is you would need to be parked along Graymont or a neighboring street. I want everybody to know that when it comes to operating your food truck or tent on Graymont, you cannot just pull up and start selling. There are certain guidelines you must follow. So now we're going to start with finance to let you know what is required, and there is also a requirement from the health department. So which person from finance wants to answer that question?
So to vend around Legion Field, you are responsible for contacting the property owners around Legion Field about setting up on their property. Once you are approved to set up on their property, we will be out to license vendors. If you're selling food, we cannot license you unless you're approved by the fire department and the health department. Once those approvals are done, then we can license you. But yeah, you have to secure your own location around Legion Field by getting in touch with the property owners to set up on their property.
Okay, thank you. Tamika, what do people need to do if they want to vend on Graymont during the Classic?
The process is the same as what Ms. Tan said. You do have to contact a property owner. The property owner now becomes the organizer. So the property owner has to complete the organizer application and include that vendor on their list as they have given them approval to operate or sell food or beverages on their property.
Okay, thank you. So now, as we're talking about Magic City Classic, I want to open it up to the panel. Are there major questions that you all often get from the public? And then we're going to open it up to Q&A to the audience, that when it comes to vending on Graymont, that you are seeing that people really need to know about. Paige?
Yeah, I just want to add for clarity that at no time ever, if you're operating a food truck within the city of Birmingham, you can't block the street. So when we say operating on Graymont, what she really means is off of Graymont. So do not park your truck anywhere that doesn't have designated on-street parking. And then during Magic City Classic, make sure you're not parking anywhere within the parade or shuttle route, because you will be towed. There are going to be tow trucks on site everywhere, so look for those signs. And if you are a food truck operating on private property, make sure you have proper room for vending, because if you gather, if a crowd is gathering and it's going out and it's blocking sidewalks and it's blocking streets, then the police department is going to come talk to you, have you change your operations, and if you can't change those operations, they'll have to shut you down. So we just have to be aware of public safety at all times.
Okay, thank you, Paige. And we have Ron Hicks from Legion Field, and he wanted to add something about Greymont.
Yes, please note that even if you bought a spot or space during the Classic, no selling is allowed during during that time. If you're caught, you'll be asked to be removed and with no refund.
So do you mean if you don't have a license?
You don't have, no, you can't sell period on, no
tailgating.
tailgating spot,
Oh, okay,
tailgating spots, I'm sorry, I apologize, the tailgating spots. I'm sorry, don't beat me up.
So Ron, what you're saying is
I'm
if
sorry.
I bought a tailgating spot and now I'm setting up selling sandwiches, selling shirts,
Negative.
you were going to make us, or BPD is going to make us leave?
You know, those fine gentlemen over there to the left.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
And Ron brings up a great question. Finance brought up and this is also on our website at birminghamal.gov/classic. There are certain areas, if you're selling cars, you need to get a permit to sell cars. That's $200, even if you own the property. What did I say? I meant parking cars. It's, if you're parking, can you tell us what the rule is when it comes to parking cars in the Classic?
Parking cars, 10 or more, there's a license required. The license amount is $200. Even if you're parking cars on your private property, you are required to have a license to park 10 or more cars. The amount of the license is $200.
And there are other permits too, if you are charging to take photographs.
If you have a photo stand, what is it, the 360, it's a fee for that. You have to have a license for that. Anything that you're selling around Legion Field, you are required to have a license. We will be out there to license all vendors. If you're selling, you need a license. Whatever you're selling, we have a license for you to purchase. You need a license.
Okay, all right. Now, we are about to open up the floor for questions. Does the panel have anything else they want to add?
Yes, before we open up to questions, our compliance team is here. These are the people that back us up. I know y'all don't know, but if you all will stand for us and if you all have anything you need to say, these are our officers who often go with us wherever we're going, and whatever they say is kind of what it is at the moment. So do either of you, Antoinette, anybody need to say something? Can you wave at them? That's it.
Okay, thank you. Now, do we have any questions from the audience? Yes, sir. Hold on one second. I'm going to bring it over to you.
Okay, I have one question. The parking thing,